Hello, everyone. I hope you are able to see us and join us. We are very excited for our session today on turning passion into profit. I know earlier some people had some tech issues, so if you're with us, please let us know because we want to make sure you guys can hear from these amazing women you're about to hear from today with great stories to tell. Awesome. I think we are working. So we will give it a second for everyone to trickle in. And as people are coming in, I just want to remind everyone that the sessions are being recorded, so you will be able to reference this for a full year. So no need to write a bunch of tips down and take notes like crazy, but because you will have a chance to see this again. And I see people trickling in, so I'll officially kick it off. Welcome to Turning Passion into Profit. My name is Michelle Mekky, and I am the founder and CEO of Mekky Media Relations. We are a national and global PR agency focusing on publicity and brand awareness. And we love to tell great stories at my company. I know some of my colleagues are joining right now. Hi, guys. And that's why I'm so excited to moderate this panel today, because I have three amazing women who are joining me. And we are really focusing today on how to turn your passion and side hustles into a profitable business, some of the triumphs and struggles of being an entrepreneur and how they've overcome it. And any of you out there who have businesses know it might look very glamorous, but it's actually very difficult to keep your business and overcome challenges. So we're excited to hear about that. And then really just how to break the barrier and start. You know, you might have a dream out there and be thinking about it, but how do you take the first steps to make it happen? So first, I want to introduce the women I have on our panel here today. We have Joanna Waterfall, who is the founder of Yellow Co. Hi, Joanna. Then we have Hailey Swartz, who is the co-founder and co-CEO of Actual Veggies.
Hi.
Hey, Hailey. And then we have Viola Palescandolo of Black Platinum Gold BV. And if you love to travel, you're going to want to hear from Viola. Hi, Viola.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you.
Awesome. So, I've been studying these women closely, and they each have amazing stories to tell. So I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit first about their company. Why don't we start with Joanna?
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Joanna Waterfall, and it is really my last name. Everyone always asks. I am the founder of a company called Yellow Co., and we are a community of women for entrepreneurial women who are making an impact for good. So we provide a membership platform, small group support, have conferences and events for entrepreneurial women who are creating meaningful work. And awesome. I'm really happy to be here. So thanks for having me.
Well, I think we all know we need community to succeed in what we do. So we definitely want to hear more about that. I'm going to throw it now to Hailey. Tell us more about yourself and Actual Veggies.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hailey Swartz. I'm a co-founder and co-CEO at Actual Veggies. At Actual Veggies, we make veggie burgers that actually taste like the veggies that are in them. They're all naturally colorful, thick cut, and just no oils, fillers, or preservatives. Started this company in March 2020, so it's been a fun, wild ride. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I have your burgers in my Instacart right now, ready to
I want to try.
Absolutely. And then Viola, tell us about your business.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So I'm Viola Palescandolo from Italy. I was born in Naples, and then I lived in many different cities like Amsterdam, London, São Paulo, Verona, and Milan. And thanks to that, I have an international background. I always loved traveling, and I'm also a passionate horseback rider. I am a former naval engineer, and when I was living in Amsterdam, I worked for an elite group of ultra-luxury super yacht builders. And I enjoyed those years, of course, but deep inside, I always knew that what I really wanted was to be an entrepreneur. And I wanted to create my own company. And I also wanted it to revolve around my passion for travel, for digital. Yes, I am a bit nerdy. And also wanted to use the expertise that I gained in the luxury industry. But I also wanted to give, let's say, a deeper meaning to the word luxury. So today I am the founder and CEO of Black Platinum Gold, and I own 100% of the company. I had a very clear vision of what I wanted to build, and I just didn't feel the need of looking for a business partner or a co-founder in order to start. So I just started alone, and I just went all in. And so today, Black Platinum Gold is the only auction platform which is entirely dedicated to luxury travel worldwide. So you will find destinations and experiences all around the world. And luxury is expressed, let's say, not only by the number of stars, but especially by the authenticity of the experiences, and also the, let's say, how transformative a journey can be. But yes, I'm gonna tell you a lot more about it.
Amazing. Well, fascinating that you were a naval engineer and now able
Thanks.
to launch this successful company. So let me ask Hailey next, who has a co-founder as well. Tell us what inspired you to start your company.
So actually, this was my co-founder's idea, and it was really a serendipitous time. I had just left where I was working for Alibaba, helping Alibaba enter the U.S. market, and it was a really interesting job working cross-culturally with a Chinese team during basically a trade war to help expand the offerings on Alibaba.com. But I decided I wanted to do something on my own. And I was having lunch with my friend Jason, and he was telling me he had stopped eating meat for health reasons. And he wanted me to, and he asked me to share a veggie burger with him. We said, this is really good. We're at lunch. And he said, you really can't get a good veggie burger at the grocery store. You can get a lot of things that taste like meat, plant-based meat, like Beyond Impossible. But if you look at the veggie burger category, it's not a delightful, enjoyable experience around that. So we joined together. I was sort of in this point where I was saying yes to everything. I am not a vegetarian, but I like to eat very healthy and very clean. So I really could get behind this. And I like to eat like a flexitarian, eat more veggies all the time. And basically in March, we started the company, the pandemic hit. My brother also got involved, and we, have been doing this ever since. And it's just been the most fun.
That's amazing. Did you ever see yourself as one day launching a business like this?
No, absolutely not. So, I came from a product and tech world. I always was in a corporate position. I worked at AOL, Alibaba. I did work in the startup world a little bit. This is the most fun I've ever had. I have really enjoyed having co-founders, especially my brother. It's been really fun to work with. But I can't now. It's sort of so much part of my identity and my community. I've met so many amazing people, and I live in New York City. I've lived here for 12 years. I don't know. But since I've started this company, it feels like a totally new city for me.
That's amazing. Awesome. Now, Joanna, let's hear a little bit about your founding story as well. I know you have an analogy that it's really all based on, and I absolutely love it as fellow women here who, typically we feel like we're all in competition with each other, but I love how you just really flip the whole thing upside down and really, your platform is so based on community.
Yeah, so my background is in graphic design and digital media, and I was running my graphic design business at the time, and kind of came to a place where I was just going project after project. I kind of hit some goals that I had thought were going to take me a really long time to get to, and so I kind of got to this place where I was like, what am I doing? Like, who can I look to for support? Where am I going to head? Where am I going to be taking this business? And it kind of led me on this journey of stumbling upon the world of social entrepreneurship and social enterprise, and specifically women working in that space. And I was so inspired. I thought, man, how cool is it that these women can go to work every day and know that they're making an impact because their work and their business is literally designed around that. And so I was really inspired by women in that space, and had this idea to start a conference. This was back in 2014, so this was many years ago now. And I just had this idea. I remember it to this day. It struck me in the shower, where I was like, I need to start a conference where women like this are speaking, women who aren't just working to build their own platforms or influence or impact. They're working really for something bigger than themselves. And so that's how it started. It started as a conference. And then it's been a long journey, and, you know, here we are years down the road, much, you know, have expanded outside the conference. But like you said, Michelle, the name Yellow Co stems from this idea that we can mimic the bees, and how bees are working in community. They are working hard, they're working together, and just by being themselves, they're making the world a more beautiful and nourished place. They're making flowers bloom and fruit grow. We all know that we need the bees in order to survive. And I was really inspired just by that concept of them just being who they are, and in that they're making the world a more beautiful, nourished place. And that's what I wanted to foster in this community, is women stepping into who they are, and just in that we can make an impact for good. So my design background, I was like, yellow, bees are yellow, we could brand the whole thing yellow, let's call it yellow.
That's awesome. So, you know, each of you talk about interesting moments in your life kind of that led you to start the business, you know, whether it was a thought in the shower, not feeling fulfilled, or a chance conversation with your co-founder, or, you know, previous jobs and backgrounds. Like, but what gave you the courage to actually like take the first step? I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is like they may think they have an idea, but they have no, you know, they're terrified, right, to take that step forward. So can each of you tell us a little bit about like how you actually started and what gave you the courage to do it? We can start with you, Viola.
Yeah, well, in my case, it was when I realized that I was ready to give everything. So all my commitment, everything I've got, to turn my vision into reality. And also was not scared by the difficulties and the uncertainty. And actually, I'm a person who delivers much better under pressure. And on the other hand, I also realized that I could never give so much. So I could never give full commitment and full dedication into someone else's business. So I realized that if I wanted to do something special, it would have been my own. So this is not, of course, this worked for me. I'm not gonna say that should work for everyone, but in my case, I clearly saw that that was my direction. And my company indeed was built mirroring my passions and my beliefs. So I wanted to empower people to be go-getters rather than just dreamers. And I wanted them to be ready to fight for something, even if it's in a playful context like an auction can be. And indeed, also the business model revolves around the difference between cost and value, which are never the same. And this is something indeed very personal. So you decide how much something is worth to you. So some experience, I mean, the same trip, the same vacation, the same experience can be just another trip for me. And for you, it can be the desire of a lifetime. So again, it's very personal. And so you decide how much that is worth to you. And even more important, you are then the one that can make your experience really priceless. So giving a deeper meaning. And this is something for me, it's fulfilling. It's not enough. So it's really something. I don't think that success is some kind of a finish line. It's something that you feel every day. So it's something that makes you jump out of bed in the morning, and
Right.
something that is constantly on your mind, not because you're just worried about how to do this and that, but it's constantly on your mind because you simply can't get enough of it. So for example, I think much better when I'm moving. So I was always like the worst meditation and things like that just don't work for me. So the more I move, the better, I think. And but I see that this is where my mind always goes because it's my passion. So it's not just my way to make money. So
Right.
it's something that makes me feel proud of myself and and fill up my days. So I'm really happy that I felt that courage, but I think that is not like so much a matter of how to break the barrier rather than it should be that you simply cannot avoid doing that. So it should be something so strong that you simply don't see another option. So this is the way I see it. I think this is how it should be. So.
Yeah, that I resonate with that very much. Actually, for me personally, and how I started my company, I had a couple crazy traumatic things that happened to me where I survived cancer, I lost a job, and after that, I thought, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? And I felt like my only option was truly to start my own business, but it's not like I dreamt of it my whole life. It was like a moment in time where something clicked and something happened where it led me down that path. And just like you guys are saying, I mean, I've never been happier in my life. I'm so rewarded 6 years later, seeing what I've been able to achieve and also the team that I've built. And, who knows now, the sky's the limit. But at one moment in my life, that was really at my lowest moment where I decided to create something beautiful. So you never know like what's gonna, push you in that direction. So how about you, Hailey? What gave you the courage to start it?
So definitely sort of the opposite. Like I am adverse to risk. So I did not fully do this at the beginning. I had another job that I had a salary with, and I was splitting my time. And it was basically when it was like a year in, I mean, my heart was always fully in this. Like that was very obvious, but it was a time where, 2020, like we're all stuck at home. So I had time to sort of do both. And it was a year in when I realized, I wasn't able to do both and give this all my energy. And it was also at a place where the company felt like it had some legs. And for me, like, even going back, I don't know if I could have jumped into something full time without I live in New York City, and it was scary. So I'm happy with how I did it as well.
Awesome. How about you, Joanna? I mean, you probably teach women now how to overcome that fear. So I'm sure you have a lot of advice.
We do talk about it a lot. Yeah. So for me, I was already running a graphic design business, and I had really always wanted to run my own business. I always, even when I was in high school, I wanted to be a wedding photographer because I wanted to have my own schedule and be able to have flexibility. Then I shot a few weddings and I was like, no, I don't think that this is for me. So I always kind of had that. I always kind of had that urge to do that, not necessarily like build a company, but I did always want to at least like be able to have flexibility in my life. But when I had this idea for Yellow Co., it felt very close to my heart. So it felt more vulnerable than just doing something, just working with clients, doing graphic design work. So what really gave me the confidence was the next day after I had that idea in the shower, I emailed a friend of mine who runs conferences, and his conference was a graphic design conference, and it was really the only conference I'd ever attended before. And I was like, hey, I want to do this thing. And I kind of like word vomited all over the email. It was just like, it's going to be this and this. And he wrote me back and he was like, okay, why don't we hop on a phone call? I'd love to help you get started on the right feet. And that really was very helpful for me. I don't know, without his support, especially that first year, I could text him and be like, hey, like the AV people are saying it's going to cost this much. Is that normal? Or just, things that I just didn't know. I'd never been in events before. He was really helpful to me. And then also just the support of people around me. I remember I being in branding and design, I made my website, and I had like had a few speakers booked, and there was a part of me that started to doubt, like, should I even do this? Is this like just this silly idea that I have? And before we had announced it to anybody, a speaker tweeted the website and was like, "Oh, so excited to speak at this event." And I was just getting texts from friends that was like, "Is this you? What is this? You're doing this?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, no, I have to do it." But I think really at the beginning, the support of other people believing in this idea alongside me and being like,
Yeah.
yes, like you can absolutely do this. Like here's how that continues to fuel me to this day, but definitely, especially at the beginning, was so helpful. I don't know if I would have been able to, just with my own willpower, to continue through all the challenges that came without people like really rooting me on and being there with me in those.
I totally agree. I mean, I always say, when people ask me advice, it's like you have to have your people, right? Like someone in your life around you who's supporting you, who's there for you. And for me, I had a mentor who, when I was deciding, should I start the business? Should I not start the business? What should I do? Am I going to succeed? I can't fail. I went to see her. And she's like, why don't you believe the star you are? She's like, what is it? Is it money? I said, I don't know. Don't you need money to start a company? I think I need savings, and she was like, here, she took out her checkbook and she wrote me a $10,000 check and she handed it to me. And she's like, this is a loan, go start your business. And it was just the sheer moment of someone believing in me that much, that like made me jump off the cliff, made me finally do it, and I hate to admit it, but it's true. It's like, we just don't see ourselves sometimes the way other people see us and what we can really achieve. So to all of you, like, is there someone, you mentioned already, Joanna, who it was, but is there someone in your life who was there for you, who either gave you advice or even to this day is like someone you feel like has to be next to you to succeed? Viola?
Well, I was thinking, but to be honest, I don't have a mentor and also I'll tell you more. My main role models are actually athletes and sport champions. I mean, I'm very focused on the business world, but what inspires me the most is the full commitment of sport champions and athletes in general. They really, go all in for what they believe in, and also the mental strength that they have not to crack under pressure. This is something that you really need to be able to build by experience, and it's so important because you need to stay, let's say, you must have a clear mind and stay lucid when you have to take decisions for something new while you are carving out your own path. And so it's something that maybe it has never been before. So you need to believe in yourself, but you also need to be mentally strong in, let's say, go through the ups and downs that you have when you're building a business. So I understand what you told them. It's a beautiful thing to have someone that believes in you so much, that gives you that final push. But on the other hand, if I must be honest, if I should be giving advice on how to start the business, I will say to not wait for someone to encourage you, or also you should not expect that people will immediately understand what you're doing. Because, for example, in my case, I spent years, it was not easy to get a degree in naval engineering and then starting the career out of it. So when suddenly I woke up and I told anyone, I'm not gonna do this anymore, not because I do not like it or I'm not enjoying my career, but because I want to build something for myself. I want to create my own company. But of course, it's not like you are having immediately everyone cheering up and happy because you are changing your life completely.
Right.
So you need to be mentally strong to say, okay, I want to do this. I'm going for this. I'm going all in for this. So I will say not. It's wonderful that you have someone immediately next to you, ready to support you and so on. But that should be a nice to have. What you must have is you must believe. You must be the first one to believe in what you're doing, and then the rest will follow.
Yeah, awesome, great points. How about you, Hailey? Anyone in your life that inspires you or has been, very influential in your success?
Yeah, so I mean, working with my brother is really special because he knows me in and out, right? He knows my weaknesses, he knows my strength, and he can really call me out on those. And also in a way that's, both very personal, and also very constructive. And then also being able to help me realize what my own strengths are and what my own weaknesses are. So that's been really cool. Really, a special relationship. Obviously, starting a business with a family member has its pain points as well. I think it's hard not to talk about work. It's hard to turn that off.
Right.
But I've just found that no one knows me better and no one can point out and remind me that I can do something like he can. And so that's been really special.
That's awesome. I'm assuming you guys got a lot closer through this as well.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned, Viola, the ups and downs of the business and, how you have to have such mental strength to get through that, given the pressure you're under running your own business. So, a big part of this panel is about how did you guys deal with challenges? Because let's be honest, we all face challenges in the business. If you could tell us, what have been some of your biggest challenges since you started, and then how have you overcome them? Why don't we start with Viola? Go ahead.
Okay, well, in my case, for an online business in general, the biggest challenge is to gain people's trust. So in the beginning, doesn't matter how appealing your website and your offers are, it's incredibly difficult to convince someone to be the first one to buy from you when there are no reviews, no reference, no comments from other clients. So that was for sure the most difficult part. And what you need to do is to, give the best possible service, and also not only deliver, of course, what you promise, but actually you need to over deliver, I think, so to really exceed people's expectation during the first awareness and consideration phases. So, and then when you start to have your first clients and the first reviews, first comments and so on, then of course it becomes easier and easier. But it's still a small and young company, so this is something I face every day. But yeah, the beginning was like, how am I gonna overcome this? And then it was there was a lot of enthusiasm, so a lot of curiosity, and as I say, you must be there and doing much more than people would expect from you in that case. Yes.
Amazing. How about you, Hailey? I mean, there's lots of veggie burgers on the market, so I'm assuming you thought through that for sure. But what has been your biggest challenge?
So not exactly related to my specific product, but I think something that's relatable to a lot of people, but is knowing who to trust and how, when a relationship goes wrong, how to get out of it. That's been really hard. Whether that was giving equity to people that, didn't deliver, and then having that conversation that, they're not all their equity is going to vest, or, firing a salesperson or a PR person or anything like that. And, it's hard to, especially I think as a woman, not be emotional about that, and be clear and concise. And, I think, so there's been two things that I've learned from that. Definitely better vetting process, whether it's talking to referrals, references. Number two, doing maybe a short-term contract first versus, hiring someone for a year, to make sure they're a good fit. Just really, and talking to other people that you trust about who you should be hiring, because I just think in retrospect, there's a lot of people that I just blindly trusted, and then it just made things more challenging and getting out of those partnerships. So
Yeah,
it's definitely something that
totally
I've
agree.
personally challenged.
Yeah, very tough to navigate. How about you, Joanna?
Yeah, so many challenges. I think that one that comes to my mind most recently that was the biggest challenge was 2020, as I'm sure, a lot of you can relate. Especially at that point, we were mostly really focused on our conferences, and we had just expanded to the East Coast, and we had our 2020 LA and New York conference venues booked, and our tickets were sold, and sponsorships were booked, and then we had to cancel them, and because of that, I had to lay off most of my team, and I kind of felt like I was at the beginning again of just what do we do here? How do we move forward and survive from this? And what I really saw during that time was just the strength of the women in our community, and just that community that had formed, that they were so receptive to us really leaning into other areas of our business, and really everyone kind of came together in this new way. That's when we started our small groups called guidance groups, and those really started to flourish in 2020, and our membership really grew, and the relationships deepened, and so I think what I really was grateful for in that time was to be able to have those relationships with the women in our community who were just down to like follow and be a part of whatever we were doing, and then also to have multiple streams of revenue, because if we were just solely the conference, then that might have been the end. But we did have our membership and our groups that had started. The groups actually started January 2020, so they really kind of were able to start flourishing after COVID. So that was a really hard time, though. It was like reevaluating things, reevaluating the heart and the mission of everything, like really diving into what do these women need right now, like what do we all need, when I'm also kind of floundering, and to be able to provide support when like I felt like I needed support too, and so that was a challenging time. But I mean, I'm so grateful for it now, because if COVID never happened and we didn't shut down those conferences, I don't know if we would have been able to grow these other streams of revenue in the way that we had. And now, we're building the team back up and just have a wonderful group. And so, yeah, that was, there's a million challenges, but that was a tough one most recently.
I know when I have to like name one, it's almost too impossible because there's many. But during the pandemic, that was a very interesting time. I'm assuming for all of us. I was very challenged with just leadership. Like how do I lead a team that's like afraid to leave their homes and like afraid of their health? And it felt for a few months there like the world was closing in on us. And how do I expect them to focus on the work when there's much bigger things to worry about? And so, I think it brought us and my team a lot closer, just focusing on, the greater good and what's more important. And, we had to be super flexible with our clients and just do whatever they needed, whether it was cutting budgets or, just to sustain ourselves. But Viola, I'm curious about you, being in travel, like how afraid were you during that time and how did you overcome that?
Well, yes, in the beginning I was terrified because the auction platform was actually integrated into the website. So I had the idea the company was already there. It was born in 2016. But the idea of the online auction platform came in 2020. So I had the idea in January, we started the project, we started to build everything, and then the pandemic started. But I was like, okay, I'm just gonna continue what I started because I believe in this, and this pandemic will be over eventually. So the auction platform was launched in May 2020. So it was really literally in the middle of lockdown. So I was like, I was like, okay, how are we gonna overcome this? But in the end, it was we managed to find a winning business model because from one hand, people were locked down at home, so they needed to have something to be looking forward to. And also the playful context of the auction is something that can help you in a time of uncertainty. So you have something and then you have your desire built day by day. So you see something and the auction ends in 7 days.
Yeah.
And today you want it and tomorrow you will want it even more. So part of the experience was also participating in the auction. And then the trips, of course, they were all with the flexible dates with a very long validity. So you could win something in 2020 and travel in 2021, even 2022. So in the end, it was of course not the best moment, but it was a great way to think out of the box. And you know, my background is an engineering background, so I'm always I'm very logic and rational and used to deal with numbers, but I learned also how to deal with people's emotions. So this was something new for me. So I also learned a lot, and that was such a strong part in that moment. So giving people what they wanted, and what they wanted was to have something to be distracted with while they were at home, and also to have something to be looking forward to. So in the end, it was not as bad as I was afraid it would have been. And then when borders started to reopening again, of course, it was all different. But yes, as Hailey said, I mean, we all learned something. I think something new, something that could become a new tool for the future.
Amazing. I'm going to encourage you guys who are watching to please type in with questions anytime that you feel. We'd be happy to incorporate them in the session, in the discussion. But just to continue this, you know, there might be people at home watching this who are really eager to start a business and, you know, not sure where to start. So I want to ask each of you, like, what advice do you have for anyone out there who might be wanting to start that you learned through your experience? Like, what are some of your biggest tips? I'll start with you, Joanna.
Yeah, I think that it sounds cheesy to say, but I believe it so much in my heart that when you really just want it, you can figure out how to get it. Like, you know, I've never had outside funding before for our business, but am journeying into that in 2023. And for so long, it felt like this mysterious thing that I don't understand, that how could I, you know, like raise funding? I'm not, you know, that's not how I've done it in the past. And it almost feels like starting a new business in a sense, because I'm learning, I'm networking, I'm talking to other people and just kind of figuring it out. And I'm realizing as I'm diving into this world that, you know, everyone is kind of figuring it out. Like nobody really, there's no formula that's like, here's A plus B and C, here you have arrived. It's very much like, okay, what's the next step? Okay, what's the next step? All right, next step. And one thing that was just really, really helpful for me in the beginning, and continues to be when I am moving towards something new, because I feel like even when you start a business, you're always kind of starting new little businesses within it, whether it's an idea or a new product or, you know, a new revenue stream. So to work this muscle, I think is just always going to benefit you. But for me, when I just feel overwhelmed with all the things in my brain, I just take a big journal. I have, I like the big ones, and I just write down all of the things in my brain, all the things that I need to do. And I just keep my head down and focus on that to-do list. Because I think what happens when we're starting businesses or moving into new areas, new places that feel unfamiliar, we just get really overwhelmed with the unknown, and we get really overwhelmed with the big picture of it all. Like with starting a conference, I always got really overwhelmed thinking like, all these people are going to come, and like, I don't know what I'm doing, and this is scary. But when I just looked at my list and I was like, send email to speaker. Okay, I can do that. That's not overwhelming. All right, did that, cross it off. And then you just do that. You keep your head down, you cross the things off your to-do list, you take it one step at a time, and all of a sudden you'll look up and you'll be like, oh my gosh, we did it. Like, I did it. I started this thing. Like, so cool.
Yeah.
But we can't live in that big picture space all the time. It's overwhelming. It's scary. You just got to take it one step at a time. So that's what I do. Head down, cross the things off the list. Don't think too hard. And just remember that literally nobody knows what they're doing. Like,
exactly.
You can carve a path for yourself. There's no like right way to do it that you are missing. That's
I love it.
Realized. I always think there's this right way that I just don't know. If only I took the right course or talked to the right person. Yeah. But you just realize you just gotta one step at a time, and everyone's on their own path.
Exactly. We're telling the honest truth here. No one really knows what they're doing. But you figure it out, right? So how about you, Hailey? What's some advice that you have to offer?
Yeah. So for me, I really love having a co-founder. I know the other people, you guys don't have co-founders, but that's been really helpful in basically sort of having someone to hold me accountable to doing the thing and not be afraid. And I think always just doing something is important. So getting something out there, don't like just continue to, play with it. Like if you have one idea, go with that one first, get it out there, test it with people, see if they like it, and then change it versus, trying to having everything perfect when you're like launching. So for example, our website, when we first started, it was like one page and it just said, hey, here's it wasn't even our veggie burgers that we had on the page, to be honest. We found a picture of veggie burgers on the internet and we got the URL, actualveggies.com. And like we wrote a sentence about what we are and a contact us button. Okay, so now we have a website. It's not perfect, but there's the website. When we first were sending samples to buyers to buy our product, like they were handmade. Like we sealed them together. We didn't wait to get the machines to put the product in. Like everything we try to do, I think one of the tech words is the MVP, minimal viable product, to get something out so you have something to react to. So always trying to take these small steps to actually do something versus saying, oh, in my case, like I need to be in the biggest grocery store tomorrow, but like, what the steps to get there. So that's been really helpful.
Awesome. Great.
And then one more thing I would say is don't let yourself get in your own way. So don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to get no's. Like once you get the first no, it's like really easy to just whatever. Like what's the worst someone can turn you down. But like don't be afraid. Like there's no reason to be afraid of that. And it gets easier to get no's as you continue.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, if you really try to think about like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Like it's not anything you can't overcome, you know what I mean? But sometimes it's bigger in our own imagination. How about you, Viola? What's your advice?
Well, I will say, first of all, rather than focusing on how to profit from your passion, first you must invest all of your energies, time, commitment, all the resources that you have into building your purpose. And then profit will follow. So you should start with why you want to build your company for, and not with what you want to do or how much money you want to make. So first you have a vision, you believe in it, and then you forge your own path. And another important thing is that I think that being an entrepreneur also means that you have to get your hands dirty sometimes. So you don't want to delegate everything. So learn how to solve things yourself. Of course, you cannot do everything by yourself, but you really need to think out the box and to learn how to do new things rather than just being in a comfort zone and at the first problem you just think, okay, who should I call to solve this and that? Of course, you will always need support, helps from others, from professional and so on. But the mindset should be, I must learn something new every day. I must not be afraid to do something which is completely new for me. And also, you cannot tell other people what to do if you don't know what you're dealing with. So I think there are no stupid questions, stupid jobs. I mean, you should really try to get involved as much as you can in every part of your business.
Awesome. What about as entrepreneurs, like my biggest challenge was really just working all the time in the beginning. I mean, I don't think I slept for like the first year and a half of my business. I think I'd say goodnight to my kids at like 2 a.m. Before they went to bed. I was up till 2 a.m. and would wake up at 6, and I really forgot kind of why did I start the business? It was like to have a better quality of life, to be able to control my schedule and, to better take care of myself. So I had to have that sort of moment, when I finally got things a little more under control and I got more help where I could take care of myself and put some boundaries down. So, entrepreneurship is very stressful. So I'm curious how each of you handles that in your own lives. Like, are you good with boundaries? Do you find time to take care of your mental health? How do each of you balance your lives? Joanna, I'll start with you.
Yeah. I think for me, I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I really don't think I started to slow down until I had my son, my 3-year-old. I think he really just having this little guy that I needed to take care of over time really showed me how I could still get things done in a smaller amount of time. I think I used to feel very like I had to be working all the time, or at least like on my email just in case something, or it was like this anxiety that just kept me glued to my work and glued to my laptop, where kind of when I had this experience of having my son, I was forced to kind of step out of that for a time. I realized, I don't have to be working all the time, and I can still get just as much done and have, a better mental space. I can have a better, my mental health can be better. And I think that journey has continued for me in having my daughter. I took a true maternity leave when I had my second, which with my first, I didn't, and that was not good for me. But I think it's a constant process of me learning just how to slow down, and that trusting myself that I will still be able to do the things if I take a break, because that anxiety wants to hold on and just be present just in case. But I've just learned that it is so possible to do things more efficiently in a small amount of time. And I think it's made me more aware of how I am spending my time. When I'm, tired, I'm more apt to be just scrolling on Instagram on my phone. And then that just overall weakens my efficiency. It weakens my creativity. Instead, of scrolling on my phone when I go to bed, I'll read a book and I just find I sleep better. And then I wake up feeling more refreshed, and then I can just get more done. And so I think, I'm a big believer in meditation. I wake up early in the mornings before my kids just to have some time to journal, and I do morning pages. If anyone's done Artist's Way, I very much recommend it. Yeah. And I have meditation time, and I don't do it every single morning, but that's a really grounding time for me, just especially when the day is so chaotic with pickups and drop-offs and toddlers and work and home. My partner and I were just in very much a season of chaos. And so I think when I realized that and accepted that, I wasn't going to be able to have any deep work time unless I really advocated for myself and created that for myself. And that's when I started doing the morning time for myself. So yeah, I think it's a learning process that I'm still growing into, but I've definitely made a lot of progress. I think about myself 5 years ago and I just worked constantly. And
Yeah.
and I think COVID, I'm sure we can all relate. It just showed us how fast we were running and that it wasn't sustainable. And, it was this hard stop that I hope that we can continue to bring these practices that we learned during the pandemic into,
I agree.
time.
Yeah, I agree. I used to never take time to watch any shows at night or do anything like that. And now it's like my husband, and like it's our nightly routine, That was definitely after the pandemic. I used to just work every night. How about you guys, Viola?
Well, for me, I work many hours every day, and I also work with different time zones. So, which means that I can have a flexible schedule. So I can have a conference call early in the morning, late night, but then I'm able to, not every day, unfortunately, but it is a flexible schedule. So in my case, the best thing for my mental well-being is to carve out a couple of hours as soon as I can and to go horse riding, which the thing I love the most. And yes, I don't know, feeling like in paradise when I'm there. So it works much better than anything else. I love animals. I love being surrounded by nature. So for me, it's really the best therapy. Or for example, I go to a park with my dog and I try not to look at my phone and just play with him. And, simple things, but they really work really well for me. And also I read a lot. I really love reading. So even if I go to bed real late, I always take at least half an hour to read the book that I have in that moment. I always have a book in my hand. And so that is also a thing that really works really well for to relax and to, let's say, get out of the stressful zone that of course we always have. Even if you're happy and fulfilled and satisfied of what you're doing, sometimes you really need to take a break. Also to think more clearly. So yes, that's what it works for me.
I agree. Well, good to know that you can put your phone away a little bit. I think we all need to try to do that more probably. But
of course.
How about you, Hailey?
So similarly, something that I really try to do is when I am like really not able to focus, I like give myself a break and I get up and go running. So no matter what time it is in the day, if I'm just noticing that like I'm like anxious, I'm not being productive, like instead of like trying to push through that, I like really try to get out and do something. And my dog is telling me
he has something to say. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to go running too. So
yeah. So cute.
And hang out with this guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. My very first client actually was a personal trainer who, I was working out at his gym and he offered, to trade services with me when I first started the company. And so I got really into fitness, which really was like my savior, like being able to work out. He held me accountable. He texted me all the time, to take a break and really take care of myself. So it's I think really important for all of us to make sure we protect that time. So well, I think we are just about out of time. So any of you have any last words you want to jump in and say? Anything exciting happening in your businesses or anything you want to leave us with?
No, I mean, I guess you can go find actual veggies at a grocery store near you, I hope. We just launched with Kroger and most Krogers across the U.S. And I really appreciate your support. Let me know if you like the veggie burger.
And you are launching breakfast burgers, right?
Yes, and breakfast burgers. So
that's
in less stores, but we're working on it.
Okay, very cool. Joanna, you have a conference coming up?
Yeah, so we have a conference. We're our first in-person conference since 2019. We're coming back next year. So tickets are currently available to members. And if you're interested in joining us as a member, you can find out more info at yellowco.co or just follow us on Instagram at yellowco.co. And yeah, shoot me a DM at Joanna Waterfall. I'd love to connect with you. I love just connecting with fellow women who are doing awesome things. So
awesome. And how about you, Viola?
Well, of course, if you love traveling and if you love, but yeah, not only the trips and the vacation, but I was mentioning before, we also have really incredible epic experiences. Like, for example, yesterday it was published the first bespoke tour of Iceland. So
Amazing.
with the Northern Lights and everything included. So yes, you can really find not only by destinations, but also by activities. So you have from beach vacation to wildlife, sport, culture, wellness, and so on. So
amazing.
Yeah, you should definitely check out, especially right now that we can finally travel. No restrictions. So this is the time then.
Very exciting time. Well, we would all love to hear from you guys out there. If you didn't get your questions in today, we're all on social media. You can go to my website, mekkymedia.com. I'm all over social media as well. So please reach out. And again, this was recorded. So I'm sure you'll be able to find it and reference it in the future as well. So thank you, ladies, so much for your time. It was great meeting all of you. Best of luck and enjoy the rest of the conference, everyone. Thank you so much for being part of this today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.